In time for the release of Citadel Day More, I thought I would do a brief overview of the French Syndicate, since they are of course going to be a very integral role and an important lore aspect of the map, and because their story branches across Warzone, multiplayer, zombies, and even the campaign, there may be some of you who may be a bit unfamiliar with the other modes and how they play a role there, and how they may cross over with the zombie stuff if you are just a zombies player. So that's what I want to dive into in this video. The French Syndicate is one of the many crime families in Avalon, a principality in France. They are known drug traffickers who also run underground fighting rings alongside a myriad of unknown other activities. The Syndicate is unique in that it is one of, if not contains some of the only major characters in both the post-campaign story as well as the zombie story, which is setting them up to be big players in the Black Ops universe. But let's rewind back to 1983. When Project Sin Station was first reactivated by the Soviet Union's Omega Group, the United States was put into a rough situation. They were dealing with a completely unknown threat that was just about to be taken out of their control. Edward Richtofen, who was the Associate Deputy Director of the Directorate of Science and Technology, recommended that the Office of Requiem would be implemented in order to take care of the dimensional breaches. When Requiem was fully created, Edward, also known as Eddie, became the director of the new program, Requiem. It's currently unknown when exactly Eddie's side project, Project Janus, was conceived. The earliest reference we have of it is in 1984, when CIA operatives in Berlin were sent the plans for it. It is implied in Forsaken that while Eddie needed the Forsaken in order to continue with Project Janus, Samantha Maxis posed a major threat to Janus that could lead to it being stalled or worse, completely destroyed. Maxis, as a child, had powers from the ether, which she regained during Cold War's Firebase C map when she was sent in there. During the events of Outbreak, Eddie had Samantha Maxis contained in Block 8 and was manipulating her into becoming powerful enough to capture the Forsaken for him. This was a double-edged blade though, as he knew Maxis could stop his plans for Janus if she caught wind of it. So he was able to kill two birds with one stone by using Maxis to trap herself in the Dark Ether in order to capture the Forsaken. We do not know the Forsaken's role in Project Janus yet, with it only being implied he is back in the Dark Ether somehow by the time Black Ops 6 takes place.
Yet, sometimes I think I hear voices coming from within the reactor itself. Many sound like people in pain, crying out, lost in despair. Others, like the Russian man, sound angry.
During Mauer Toten, Eddie communicated with the redacted board of directors, who are key shareholders and major stakeholders in Project Janus, funding the operations for their own agenda, likely different from that of Eddie's, and he's using them for his own goal. With the introduction of the French Syndicate being extremely wealthy, it could be that they are one and the same as the redacted board of directors, or at least making up some of the finances of this project all along, and isn't just something Eddie has been using as help in the lead up to Black Ops 6, but could have been ongoing for a while. It is currently unknown what Project Janus really is. Characters in Black Ops 6 have already acknowledged the name is likely based off of the Roman god Janus, who is the god of gates, beginnings and endings, time and doorways. In fact, the only description we have of Janus is a CIA agent calling it insane. Given the Janus researchers in Liberty Falls are seemingly researching time travel, it's likely that Janus has to do with traveling potentially back in time, or even forward, or a merger of both. The only question though is why. Throughout the early days of Project Janus being a fully fledged operation, Eddie had someone investing and funding him. While he was likely getting funds from the CIA, he would have needed money for non-approved activities, especially concerning the Forsaken. Eddie promised his investors that Janus would line their pockets and give them much more money as long as they continue to invest in his pockets. Given the investors are not brought up again, like I say, they're either one and the same or some of the French Syndicate, or they simply stopped investing, which is highly unlikely, which would have caused Eddie to pursue other avenues, but I think that's more so unlikely. But if this is the case, this could have caused Eddie to pursue other avenues for funding, such as the French Syndicate. Eddie then chose Liberty Falls as the main site where Project Janus would be operating, so he went to Boone Benton, the manager of Liberty Falls Savings and Loan Bank, in order to help set up the financial systems that Janus would need.
December 3rd, 1990. My name is Boone Benton. accounts and manager of Liberty Falls Savings and Loan Bank. In the event that something happens to me, I want the following to serve as legal testimony on my behalf. First and foremost, I always had the community's best interests at heart. When Project Janus chose this town, I saw an opportunity to change our lives for the better. Well, you know what they say about roads paved with good intentions. In the beginning, everything was above board, not a penny out of place. Project Janus has set up personal accounts for all their staff, relocating in Liberty Falls, which felt like a preview of the good fortune to come. Then, Director Richtofen approached me about conducting payroll through the bank, which seemed like a strange request. And those European investors got involved and ruined everything. Helping Project Janus was one thing, but the Avalon folks, they weren't like us. People here know a hard day's work. We're not criminals. So when I was tasked to set up a financial pipeline for them, I refused. I wouldn't participate in whatever money laundering scheme they'd planned. Richtofen assured me it was just how they preferred to handle funds for the project, but I'm no fool. I know a devil when I see one, no matter how fine the suit. I still said no. He was very clear. If I didn't do as I was told, his investors would make me disappear. Then they go after my family and anyone else that they saw as problematic. Blood of this town would be on my hands. Jesus wept. What am I gonna do?
Everything was above board, with all Project Janus employees even having personal accounts at the bank. Around 1990, everything started to fall apart for Benton when Eddie asked Benton to start conducting payroll through the bank. Benton was suspicious about what Eddie's true intentions were with this money laundering, which was only confirmed when Eddie brought up that the French Syndicate were trying to send funds to Eddie and Project Janus. Benton refused, so Eddie threatened him, saying that the Syndicate would kill Benton, his family, and everyone else who did not cooperate. Not only was the French Syndicate giving money to Eddie, but Eddie wanted to pay the French Syndicate so that they could kidnap people for him and send the victims to Terminus Island for Dr. Modi's experiments. Dr. Modi was a scientist who tortured and brutally killed her test subjects, which was perfect for Eddie's plans. Modi was tasked with using bioengineering to create something that would serve as a defense against any dark ether threats. While Terminus's energy and weapons research was the official goals of the island, biological experiments were the secret main objective. Since Eddie gave Modi everything she wanted, she went through her victims extraordinarily fast, with the Syndicate getting richer for every victim sent to her, many of whom were refugees. Owen Guthrie, a Janus employee stationed on Terminus Island, theorized that whatever the French Syndicate did to the trafficked victims, it was horrible. Owen even makes note that when they reach Terminus Island, the victims are relieved over believing that whatever happened to them at the hands of the Syndicate couldn't be worse over than what they will experience at Terminus Island. It's unknown where the bulk of the Syndicate's victims come from. However, at least some of them came from Nathan and Maya Al-Granaldo's smuggling business. Nathan and Maya would smuggle everything ranging from illegal contraband to, like I say, refugees. While Maya was quote-unquote made for being a smuggler, Nathan seemingly was the nicer of the pair, with Maya saying how he should have simply been a music teacher instead. After the siblings' father died, they both expanded the smuggling business. When they would stop at ports, Nathan would see starving families who wanted to escape their old lives. The siblings decided to start to smuggle them as well, expanding their business from not just guns and drugs but also to refugees. Everything was going well until Nathan started to work with Franco Moro, who is a part of the French Syndicate, in order to help them move refugees. Maya seemingly did not agree with Nathan's decision and warned him about the Syndicate, but her sentiment fell on deaf ears. At some point, a refugee contacted Maya and had told her that Franco was secretly putting refugees onto another boat and having them shipped away. Maya tried to confront Franco at a bar they frequented together. However, he was not there. Nathan then stepped up to confront him, but he was kidnapped and sent to Terminus Island. Nathan began to be experimented on, but he refused to take his medications for the experiments. Owen noticed this and tried his best to keep Nathan away from Modi's prying eyes, as he knew she would send him to Janus's amalgam program. Unfortunately for both of them, though, Nathan was still sent to the program and experimented on to become an amalgam, suffering through the same process that the many refugees that the Syndicate and Janus kidnappees had gone through. At this point, Maya had no clue how to reach where Nathan and the kidnapped refugees were sent. She had a lucky break when she found William Peck, who had just been badly beaten in a back alley. After stitching him up, Peck hired her to work with him to go to Terminus Island. Maya knew that her brother was being held there, so she agreed and began a genuine friendship with Peck, although she still questions him to an extent, and his narcissistic stupidity, despite him being very intelligent on paper. After Peck and Maya rescued the former heads of Requiem on Terminus Island, they all agreed to save Nathan from his cell. Using a code left behind by Owen, the ex-Requiem crew were able to open Nathan's cell without realizing he was now a fully sentient amalgam. After they defeated him, Maya stepped up to kill him once and for all, thus solidifying in her mind that she has to kill Franco and the Syndicate members who sold Nathan to Janus, and this is something that may be expanded upon in the future map or maps. After destroying Owen, who is now known as Patient 13, and I've already made a whole video diving more into his backstory, which will be linked on screen and in the description, Project Janus's artificial intelligence named S.A.M. the synaptic algorithm module, made on the very essence of Samantha Maxis herself, informed the crew about where they should go to next. According to her, Eddie was obsessed with the Sentinel artifact and its power of holding prima materia, an ancient proto-matter that allows them to manipulate matter itself. While it was never explained what exactly prima materia does, it was implied in the now canon Chaos storyline that it could revive people and also turn them immortal in the form of zombies. Prima materia was also something that could heavily uplift civilizations into being more prosperous, and this is supposedly the very first matter. Sam explained that Eddie believed the Sentinel artifact was in Avalon, and that Eddie hired the French Syndicate to find it. Sergei Ravanov, who formerly helped Requiem during Cold War zombies, now works for both Franco and the French Syndicate. Ravanov, under Franco's orders, abducted and interrogated Gabriel Kraft about the whereabouts of the artifact. It's unclear how Ravanov became a mob enforcer for the Syndicate, and is now doing Richtofen's bidding, as the last time we saw him, he seemingly was there as everyone was apprehended after Richtofen shut down Requiem. We know from Modern Warfare 3 Zombies that he described falling into a dark place, so it's possible he went through a very rough patch in his life and he was merely acting in this way just out of desperation and a need for money. Or he is merely being forced into this by Richtofen, not under his own will. Potentially, for example, threatening to do things to the Terminus crew whilst they were imprisoned on the island, or threatening to harm him himself. Gabriel Kraft was a professor of demonology at Leipzig University. He was forced to work for Wolfram von List during World War II, where he uncovered several Dark Ether relics scattered across the globe, and this is what we saw unfold in Vanguard Zombies. These relics were not activated, however, until Project Endstation initially activated and tore a hole in the fabric of reality between the Dark Ether and our universe, reopening and bleeding into our world. The relics were like genie lamps, where they contained several Dark Ether deities, including Cortifex the Deathless. Wolfram sought to get revenge on the world for defeating the Nazis in Stalingrad, whereas Cortifex sought to take over the world in general. With the help of other Dark Ether gods, Kraft and the Special Forces team helped to kill Cortifex. When the Special Forces team and Kraft were sent to Shino Numa, Kraft made an interesting remark about how he used to idolize a man named Alistair Rhodes, who was trying to hunt down the Sentinel artifacts. Both Alistair and the Sentinel artifacts are key main plot points in the Chaos storyline in Black Ops 4 Zombies. In the Chaos story, Alistair was on the hunt for prima materia, which is typically stored in the Sentinel artifacts, and the Sentinel artifacts allow them to manipulate this matter. Given Eddie had the French Syndicate kidnap Kraft for his knowledge on prima materia and the Sentinel artifacts, it is likely that at one point Kraft found documents relating to the artifacts and where at least one is stored. Somehow, Eddie learned both of prima materia and Kraft's knowledge of it, leading to him seeking both of them out. Potentially, Kraft even played an integral role in the upbringing of Richtofen himself, as we know he was adopted, and that would be an interesting plot twist as to how he gained a lot of this knowledge to begin with. But regardless, that relationship may have turned sour at some point, considering he is now held captive under Richtofen's orders. Or maybe he hasn't obtained all of this knowledge yet and is seeking out Kraft for that knowledge, and he has no prior history with him, but that seems unlikely considering that the Requiem archives had all of Kraft's research obtained, so it is very likely that they have had past history together. The question is though, how deep does Eddie's and Kraft's background go and intertwine? It is possible that the Syndicate are also connected to the Order from the Chaos storyline. The Order was a cult that aimed to evolve humanity by using prima materia from the Sentinel artifacts. The Order may also subsequently have ties to the Societe occult, who used the Dark Ether relics and Vanguard zombies to learn more about the Dark Ether. Potentially, they could even be one and the same, or the Societe occult is some sort of sub-faction or off-branch of the Order. Given there are several organizations in the Black Ops Zombies universe currently that are trying to use otherworldly magic for unknown reasons, there's a likelihood that they will all be connected in some way, likewise being potentially the same. It could also be that the Order and or Societe occult, depending on not whether or not they are intertwined or the same, their descendants could actually make up the French Syndicate. After all, a lot of them were French, and a lot of their bases of operations were in France as well, so it would seem very likely that they could make up some of these crime syndicate families now in modern day. But I do actually have a video coming up soon talking about all of the ties between the Chaos story, the Societe occult, and how it relates to the future for the Dark Ether story coming up on the channel, diving way deeper into this topic. Anyways, back on Terminus Island, Maya decided to join the X-Requiem crew in chasing down the Sentinel artifact, as she believes she would have a shot at killing the man who doomed her brother to torture and his eventual death, Franco. So, like I say, this could be a big plot point for the storyline for Citadel Day more. Maybe he will die on that map under the hands of Maya. She wants revenge on both him and Richtofen, so this could be something achieved on this map or a future one, but that's going to definitely have tension there. And since she wants revenge on Richtofen, but we know he was taken away into the Dark Ether by Sam, that's going to be something that will unfold later in the DLC, but at some point they will realize he is taken. When Maya finds out Richtofen's true intentions, maybe she's going to have a different mindset when she realizes that similar to her brother being taken, even though it was under Richtofen's orders, Richtofen similarly lost his family. Although that totally doesn't give him the right to do horrible things to others, but there is some common ground there. Now, if you have not played the campaign, I'm going to now discuss that, so we're going to jump into some spoilers, so if you want to play it first, I would recommend that, but nevertheless, this is important as well to understanding. The French Syndicate are also mentioned in the post-campaign story of Black Ops 6, but only in a limited amount. In the campaign, Savati Dumas, also known as Sev, worked for one of the Avalon crime families called the Guild. She tried to retire from them, but as a parting gift, the Guild tricked her into killing her lover. After the Guild's leader, Johannes S. Saidi, was killed, the Guild still remained a big organisation in Avalon, even having a mole within the rogue Black Ops crew. Another big crime family in Avalon was the Lutazzi family, who owns the main casino in Avalon. Both the Guild and the Lutazzi family became aligned with the Pantheon, the shadowy ex-CIA organisation, largely explored in the campaign. But like I say, even if the Societe occult, some of the family members may be their descendants, there are many crime families in Avalon. As a result, it's unlikely that all of them could be the descendants, but I wouldn't be surprised that at least some of them are. We haven't had any mentions of the Society in such a long time as well. Surely Trek are going to mention them at some point, and I think now is their final chance. In December of 1991, in order to bring down the remaining Pantheon moles, Sev brokered a deal with the French Syndicate. Of the Lutazzi, the Syndicate would give the rogue Black Ops team gear and information about Pantheon. Not only does this confirm that the French Syndicate are still around at least 10 months after Terminus and Liberty Falls takes place, but that Trek is setting them up as some sort of reluctant ally for the rogue Black Ops team moving forward. As for the future of the French Syndicate, it is likely that we kill some of their members, such as Franco, especially since Maya wants revenge, but we don't fully topple the Syndicate, as like I say, they are many families. Since we know Avalon will be a Warzone map next year with COD 2025, it's likely they will play some role in this future Black Ops game, and with that rumour to be a Black Ops 2 sequel in 2035, their families may extend far into the future beyond Black Ops 6 itself. The lore is going to span decades and decades, especially since Sev is taking down the Syndicate's main rival in Season 1. It's also possible that they are reoccurring villains throughout the Black Ops 6 Zombies maps, and they are not just in Citadel Day more. Franco and the French Syndicate have proven themselves to be monsters who would do anything to get richer. Who knows, maybe in Citadel Day more, we will see more of their gruesome activities showcased throughout the castle and the village. Maybe, considering they have Kraft captive, we may see them do some horrible things to him and or Ravenov as well, seeing as he is the Requiem crew's ex-ally. He will likely side with them and betray the Syndicate, and we may try and rescue him and Kraft on the map. But without further ado, that's everything we know so far regarding the Syndicate. This has been a brief summary, but of course we'll learn a lot more with the upcoming map. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.